Hi dancers, Jess here. Welcome back to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about starting a new job. As dancers, sometimes you're starting a new job somewhat frequently, maybe from season to season. Especially in the beginning of your career, there's a likelihood that there's a lot of transition going on. You might be going from traineeships to apprenticeships, even that transition from professional training program into your first traineeship or apprenticeship or paid job is going to be quite a transition, and it can be really stressful. So I want to talk about some ways that you can sort of calm the stress and not overthink the situation. One of the best things I would suggest doing is remembering that you have that job for a reason. Auditions are a big, long, stressful process, but you've come out of that process with a job, which not every dancer can say. Some seasons obviously are better than others, depending on your situation, but you are at a place where you're starting something new, and that's because they chose you. As you saw when you were auditioning, there are tons of dancers out there looking for jobs, and so companies do tend to have their choice of people. They can pretty much pick anyone, but you were chosen. So remember that they chose you for a reason. Clearly they saw something on audition day that stood out to them, or that they saw as something they could develop. And that takes me into the next point. You were chosen, and at the same time, especially if it's a entry-level position, you're starting as a trainee or an apprentice, they don't expect you to be fully formed. They saw you probably as somewhat of a work in progress, but you're somebody who they want to develop. That does mean you have to show up every day and try your hardest and do your best work. That's what they're expecting. But they're not expecting you to be, prima ballerina, principal dancer material just yet. They might see you as somebody who can get there, but they clearly want to be a part of that growth process with you, which is awesome. So try to focus on that and stay excited in knowing that, someone is very invested in your own personal development. Remember that you're not alone in this process, and every year there are lots of dancers starting in new entry-level sorts of positions. And it might be a good idea to reach out and try to find some other dancers who are in a similar spot, starting out with companies for the first time, or just, this is their first job, whatever it might be, or first or next job in a new company. By reaching out and making connections, finding people who can relate to your situation, it's going to really support you in moving forward. Look into maybe finding an email pen pal. Email does make it rather easy for people to stay in touch. It's a nice way to connect with someone. So if you're feeling particularly stressed out one day, or you just have a rough day, you can email that person, and who knows, they might be going through something similar since they're in a similar spot. And even within the company that you're working at, there might be other dancers, or there's likely other dancers who are also starting new that year. And I think that it tends to happen that all the dancers who start around the same time do tend to make connections because they've got that common thread. We all started the same year, the same season. So be sure to make as many connections with new friends as you can. If you know people already who are in the company or who have been in the company for a couple of years, definitely make sure to strengthen those connections. I remember when I started, at least one of my friends from college was already in the company that I was dancing with. And it was so helpful to have somebody who sort of already knew the ropes and could also introduce me to other company members. And, she kind of vouched for me. And she was actually also a very outspoken person. So she also, gave positive feedback about me to the artistic director, which is awesome. You won't find that with every dancer, but if you have a friend who's like that, obviously it's going to benefit you to, talk to her and get the inside scoop and let her be your cheerleader and be somebody in your corner, because that's just going to make you feel a little bit less stressed as well. And you'll kind of have somebody who can show you the ropes, which always helps in any new situation, and especially with ballet companies. Remember that you have been training for this job for years. So if you started a professional training program when you were young, or even if you've just been training at a high level from age 12 and up, it's something you've been working towards for years and years. You know, most people when they start a new job, they've probably trained in college for it. Maybe the last 2 or 3 years were focused in on that specific field. But even then, it's not quite the same as with dancers, where you've been, for probably at least a decade, have been focused on this one thing. So don't discount your past experiences, even if you had experiences in summer intensives with different roles or casting. Remind yourself that those things are going to come in handy now in this new situation, and stay confident in your skills. Obviously, as a dancer, you have to always stay open to learning new things, but remind yourself that you do have plenty of experiences under your belts that you can bring into this new experience and, do your best. And that leads into showing up with your A game each and every day. So those first couple of years, especially in a company, I think a lot of times it's about proving yourself and showing them, I do have what it takes. I can pick up choreography quickly. I can, dance at this same high level as the other people in the company. It's going to take the time to do that though. And it sometimes can feel like a lot of stress trying to constantly, every single day, give your best. But do know that after a certain period of time, typically, you'll get to a point where they trust in your skills, and then, they're not sort of testing you as much anymore. And they can say to themselves, and they'll also hopefully say to you, like, okay, you're doing good, keep it up. And it's not as much of a struggle. But just know that in the beginning, it is usually about proving that you've got what it takes and proving that you're willing to put in the work and the time and that you're dedicated. And that might even mean, depending on the company you're at, showing up to rehearsals that you're not called for. Obviously, that has to get approved. You have to know that that's something that's acceptable within your company. But if it is, and you're not cast in much, it probably would benefit you to show up when you can, learn other roles, and try to get good at them. Try to show that you can develop and improve in any given role, even the ones you're not called to learn. Make sure that you're supporting your dancing with things outside of dance. So that goes for healthy eating. That's about your lifestyle outside of dance. It's about the relationships that you're cultivating, both within and out of the studio. The healthy food thing, obviously, that's something I always feel like I want to and need to bring into the conversation, because obviously for dancers, it also speaks to body image, and you want to be cultivating confidence in your body and yourself. And the way you eat and the way you approach food really does impact all of that stuff. All the food stuff, all the body stuff can impact the way you show up in the studio. So make sure that you're doing your best to have a positive situation going on with that. With relationships and things outside of the studio, just make sure that you feel supported. And if you don't have that support within the company yet, make sure that you're staying in contact with friends and family who support your goals and dreams, and who are going to continue to lift you up even if you have some days that are more stressful or days that get you down. As much as you can, use your voice. Exercise that ability to communicate verbally with artistic staff, with other people in the company. You want to be sure to communicate both your desire to be there and be open to asking questions about how they would like to see you develop or improve or whatever it might be. By opening up those conversations, you're going to get a leg up on the competition, even though I would also suggest that you try not to get too caught up in the competition once you're there. But a lot of times dancers just sort of sit back and we don't ask the questions, and you'll maybe have a once or twice per year meeting with artistic staff. But if you take initiative in that area and ask even before that meeting, so like before it hits the 3-month mark or whatever it might be, if you say, hey, I would really like to know how I'm doing, and if there's anything that you specifically would like me to be working on, what's going to help me get the job for the long term, or, get next year's contract. If you open up the conversation and again, just show that initiative, show that you care enough to start the conversation, that's going to look really good to the artistic staff. And that's the kind of thing that, they might not even think of beforehand. And then after, they'll be like, wow, it was so great that she actually opened up this conversation and talked to me about it. It's also useful because if you're going to have to go out and audition again before next year, you'll have a little more information, and you might even be able to ask them, okay, if you don't necessarily see me as a fit here, and this might be a conversation for later, but if they don't see you as a fit there, you can say, is there a company or is there someone you know who you think might hire me where you think I would be a better fit? So if you get more comfortable having conversations early on, once it gets to be later and you're looking at what might be coming next, you'll already feel comfortable asking them questions like that. And if you don't get used to asking questions like that, it might come to the place that you're just totally unsure of what's next and you don't feel comfortable asking them what they think. And that's a little bit disappointing. And then you're just not fully utilizing the resources that are in front of you. So to sum up this chat about starting a new job, just try to stay as present and focused and find happiness within it as much as you can. I think a lot of times there's so much pressure in the beginning of your professional dancing career that you don't necessarily take a step back and enjoy how much you're performing and how much you're rehearsing, and the fact that you have gotten to this place where you're actually doing the thing that you love all day long. So do your best to find that joy in each and every day and revel in the moment, because with dance, as people often say, you never know how long the career is going to last. You never know when an injury might end things for you. So stay present and find the joy and just do your very best. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do want to say that coming up in September, the Dancer's Best Body program will be enrolling again. If you're looking for support with food, with body confidence, with, showing up fully in your job, that program really can support you in all of those things. Keeping a professional job takes being on your A game and being at your highest level, and that's what this program is designed to help you do. If you want to reach out and ask me any questions about it personally, you can email me, jess@thewholedancer.com, or head over to the website at thewholedancer.com and just click on the programs tab and you'll find the Dancer's Best Body program and you can get all the details there. Thank you again so much for tuning in, dancers, and good luck with your next dancing job.